There's an aspect of male desire that often goes unnoticed, a space where psychology connects with the body, and attraction reaches beyond the purely physical, Carl Jung once remarked. The meeting of two personalities is like the contact of two chemical substances. If there is any reaction, both are transformed. That idea reflects what happens in the moments I'm about to explain. You may already be familiar with positions and intimacy, but there are 5 specific positions men secretly long for. These positions don't just bring pleasure. They awaken something much deeper, almost instinctive within their minds. Most women never explore them, not because they're unable, but simply because they've never been shown how much influence these moments truly carry. This is where it gets truly interesting. These aren't just poses or techniques. They're psychological cues, intentional or not, that make him remember you, not just the experience. I'll share all 5 with you. But before that, you need to understand why they work. If you simply copy them without grasping the mindset behind them, you'll miss the real impact. Men are often conditioned to lead, to perform, set the pace, and stay in control. But when a woman changes the frame, when she creates space for him to relax and feel genuinely seen, something shifts. He stops performing. He starts feeling. That's when you go beyond the surface and reach the part of him that holds lasting memory. I used to assume men only remembered the wild, intense moments you see in films. But the truth is, the moments they return to are the ones where their guard came down without them even realizing. When they weren't just wanted for their body, but valued for their presence. That's why the first position on our list is so effective. I call it the anchor. Face him directly. Wrap your legs around him, chest to chest, arms around his neck. It looks simple, but psychologically it's powerful. In this moment, there's no space left for performance. Your breathing aligns. Your heartbeats find the same rhythm. He isn't just holding you, he's with you. The connection is inescapable. This is where Jung's insight comes alive. In that closeness, both of you shift. The physical fades and the emotional takes center stage. What makes it unforgettable are the subtle details. A hand brushing the back of his neck, a quiet whisper that isn't even seductive, but deeply personal. These embed you in his emotional memory. You become part of the narrative he carries about intimacy. And here's the surprise. The anchor isn't even the most powerful position in this list. Not even close. There's one later, number 4, that taps into something far older, almost archetypal in male psychology. Think of the anchor as your foundation. Without it, the others lose much of their power. And here's what most women overlook. The anchor isn't about holding him. It's about letting him feel held. That role reversal may seem subtle, but it's transformational. Men are rarely given that sense of emotional safety. When they experience it, it leaves a mark they can't forget. I remember years ago, I tried this unknowingly. No dramatic moves, no effort to be seductive, just stillness, breathing together, fingers gently tracing his hairline. Weeks later, he told me that was the moment he realized he couldn't stop thinking about me. That's the psychological hook at work, and this is only the beginning. Because the second position, the edge, completely flips the energy. It's where tension becomes the tool. The edge takes anticipation and stretches it until it's ready to break. Imagine this. You're lying back, positioned in a way that allows him to take in every detail. No filters, no barriers. His gaze can wander, but you're the one quietly setting the pace, whether he realizes it or not. This is where subtle control becomes an art. Men often believe they're leading when they're standing above, leaning forward. In reality, your hips, your legs, even the placement of your hands can guide the entire experience without a single word spoken. The tension works because it taps into his natural instinct to pursue, yet it shifts the balance of power. You become the one who determines rhythm, depth, and intensity. Here's the hidden psychological trigger. When you remain still longer than he anticipates, his attention sharpens on every detail. Your breathing, your subtle movements, the smallest cues. Your skin grows warmer under his touch. and your eyes connect with his briefly before closing. Stillness doesn't mean the absence of movement, it's the heightening of awareness. When you finally shift, even slightly, whether with your hips or by pulling him closer, the contrast feels powerful. Jung would call this the shadow in action, the tension between control and surrender. It's compelling because it's rare. Many rush through anticipation, treating it as something to escape. But when you let it linger, when you embrace silence and let the atmosphere intensify, every nerve in his body pays attention. And he will notice. He won't just sense the change. He'll hunger for it. What makes this edge so valuable is the space it creates. It allows you to read him without the urgency to perform. You're watching, adjusting, and deciding how much to allow and when. Men who encounter this don't forget it, not because it's dramatic or complex, but because they realize you were never passive. You were guiding the entire experience. Yet as powerful as this edge is, it pales in comparison to what comes next. The third position removes one of his senses completely. By denying him the ability to read your face or know your thoughts, his imagination becomes your greatest tool. This is what I call the backstage pass. In this position, you turn away, perhaps on your knees leaning forward or standing with your hands against the wall. The details matter less than the perspective. From where he stands, he cannot see everything. He doesn't know exactly what you feel or what you'll do next. That gap between the visible and the hidden is where his mind races. Men are indeed visual, but they're also imaginative. When you limit his access to your expressions, you push him to read you differently, through your movements, your breath, and the shifts of your body. Every minor shift feels amplified. Each change in rhythm strikes more deeply. This is mystery in its purest form, captivating and addictive. Psychologically, you're engaging what Jung might call thema, his inner image of feminine energy, and allowing him to project onto it. You're no longer just the woman before him. You become the embodiment of something he cannot fully define. That's why a quick glance over your shoulder, just long enough to meet his gaze before turning away, can send him spiraling with desire. You give him a glimpse, then withdraw it, and that push-pull dynamic secures his focus like nothing else. The beauty of the backstage pass is the freedom it gives you from self-awareness. You're not worrying about whether your expression is right. He can't see it. You can close your eyes, let your head fall forward, and move entirely on instinct. That freedom naturally turns into confidence, and confidence is magnetic. He senses it and he responds to it. On a deeper level, when your face is hidden, he listens more intently to your body. He picks up on the smallest signals, following without realizing he's following. You're guiding in silence. Yet as powerful as mystery can be, there's another position that flips it completely. It doesn't conceal you at all. In fact, it leaves no space to hide. Used well, it becomes the most emotionally charged of all, the full embrace. Face to face, legs wrapped around him, arms around his neck, your bodies pressed so close that each heartbeat is felt. On the surface, it may seem almost too simple, but psychologically, it's one of the most profound positions you can offer. In this embrace, he cannot escape your presence. Your eyes are right there. Your breath mixes with his. Your chest rises and falls against his. He's not merely touching you, he's immersed in you. Here, performance disappears. There's no room for distraction or self-consciousness. He simply exists in the moment with you. The idea of individuation is rare for men. They're often accustomed to carrying the weight of being the leader, the performer, or the protector. But in this space, all of that is set aside. What you offer instead is something few men ever receive, a place where they can simply exist without expectations. Jung might describe this as individuation in motion, a shedding of roles and masks until only authenticity remains. In this state, even the smallest gestures take on amplified meaning, running your hand through his hair, tracing the curve of his back, whispering words meant for him alone. Proximity transforms every detail into a spark, and when your eyes meet, if you hold that gaze long enough for him to feel it, rather than just register it, you're communicating something deeper. I choose you fully in this moment. That silent message imprints itself, not only in his memory, but in his understanding of who you are. It becomes a lasting reference for intimacy. This embrace is flexible. It can be slow and tender, deep and urgent, or move fluidly between the two. You set the rhythm. Yet here's the overlooked truth. In closeness, you're not simply fueling desire. You're grounding him, signaling to his nervous system that it's safe to release. That grounding is deeply addictive. But even so, this isn't the peak moment. The next position plants a memory so vivid it lingers for years. The final one is what I call the slow burn. It isn't about a single movement or dramatic flourish. It's about pacing, stretching time, so it becomes an ally. You begin close enough for him to feel your warmth, yet just out of reach of true satisfaction. Each move is intentional, every pause deliberate. Instead of rushing, you stoke the fire ember by ember. In this space, you might trace his jawline with your fingers. Let your lips hover near his without touching. Lean close enough that your breath merges with his, and then withdraw slightly, keeping his focus fixed on you. Psychologically, this resets his anticipation loop. Many men believe intimacy follows a straight line from spark to climax. Here you show him the in-between is where the real treasure lies. Jung might say you're embodying the archetype of the temptress, not as manipulation, but as mastery of timing. The longer you sustain the moment without breaking it, the sharper each detail becomes. In his awareness, the feel of your skin, the weight of your gaze, the subtle tightening of your hand as you draw him nearer. And when the distance finally closes, the intensity is far greater than if you'd hurried. But here's the twist. The slow burn is not just for him. When you allow yourself to linger, to explore without chasing an end, your own sensitivity deepens. You start noticing his breath shifting, the small changes in his eyes, the way his body responds instinctively to yours. You become more fully present, and that presence is the most powerful gift you can give. The reason men crave this, but rarely encounter it, is because it demands confidence. The kind of confidence that says, I'm here, unhurried, unafraid. Once a man experiences the slow burn with you, it etches itself into his memory, resurfacing quietly even years later, and that's what connects all 5 positions. They are not merely techniques. They are experiences designed to live within his body and mind long after the moment ends. So here's the challenge. Choose one tonight. Don't announce it. Don't perform it. Simply create it with unshakable confidence. Then watch. Watch how his eyes shift, how his hands reach for you without thought, and know in that instant, you've become the story he'll return to again and again.